Right on time. We will go ahead and get started and start with a roll call.
Present.
I'm here.
Mr. Tatum
Here.
and Dr. Beeson.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lister. So we will move on and look to recess to executive session. So I need a motion. Dr. Beeson.
I move the Board of Education of USD 501 recess into executive session for 60 minutes to discuss confidential personnel matters to protect the privacy of the individual employees to be discussed pursuant to the personnel exception of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The board will return to open session in the boardroom at 6:30 p.m. The superintendent and executive staff are invited into executive session.
Thank you. Is there a second for that motion? Mr. Tatum, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to a vote.
And the vote is open. And all votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you.
Ah.
Okay, it is 6:30, and so we will move back through our agenda, and we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think we'll have our McClure video.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we will move into the next portion, which is the adoption of the agenda. And so I am looking for a motion. Dr. Beeson.
I move the board adopt the agenda as presented.
And is there a second? Mr. Munoz, thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? If not, we'll move to a vote.
All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Next up, we have public communications. I'm not sure.
We have none.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Lister. And so we'll move on into business by consent. And so I will need a motion for that. Dr. Beeson again, thank you.
I move the board approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the board president or superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the board.
And a second. Dr. Bonebrake, seconding? Yes. Any discussion or questions? Dr. Bonebrake, yes, sir. Dr. Bonebrake, your microphone, please.
There's about $500,000 in food for the parochial schools. And I wonder if we don't get our dollars for food, are they paid from the government as well? Or I'm just not sure if it all goes through.
We might have to, Mr. Minky or Mr. Busey, do you know the?
So did you hear that question, that if we don't get our payments for food, what happens to the parochial schools who we use funds to feed? Mr. Busey will share his thoughts on that question.
Yeah, I would assume, yeah, they're just a pass-through entity, so we pass those funds on to them. So if we didn't have any funding to pass through, we just wouldn't be able to pass those funds on in that instance.
So we couldn't feed them.
Well, or they'd have to find another source of revenue for those. Yeah, I mean, we could probably, we would work with them to see, you know, if they were able to provide that, but yeah, it wouldn't be through the flow through from federal funds. So.
Thank you. Other discussion or questions on the consent items? Okay, we'll move to a vote.
And the vote is open. All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Great. Dr. Anderson.
All right, Mrs. Stacy Kramer is coming up to give you her report as she addresses the needs assessment in this work session. Ms. Kramer?
Thank you so much, Dr. Anderson. I'm pleased to present to you a preview of the needs assessment. I've had a chance to visit with the Finance Council about this. If you gentlemen wouldn't mind pulling that up for me, that'd be great.
And Ms. Kramer, for those that are listening, can you share what role you play in the district?
For sure. So I am still the grant coordinator. And with Esther leaving, I have the opportunity to become the CI3T, GEI, and 504 chairperson again. So I'm excited to go back to some of the things I've felt like I didn't get to finish, especially with CI3T. So I'm excited to do that again. Another thing that I do is teach de-escalation training for teachers. So that's a lot of fun and keeps me in tune with what's happening boots on the ground as well. All right, great. So just a reminder, this is a legal requirement. We have to run through a needs assessment, and that needs assessment is part of our budgeting process. So we are also this year advised from the state, this is new, because we have some impounded funds. We've been advised to go ahead and budget for those. So I wanted to just make note of that. We will not spend those very likely unless they're unimpounded. By the way, I'll take this opportunity to let you know we did get our 21st century grants in full. So those have been unimpounded. So you'll see those on the agenda next time. So that's very exciting. When we do our needs assessment, we ask the building leadership teams with their administration to go through a needs assessment. So they look through the needs assessment, they take a look at all of their data, they take a look at their root cause analysis that they work on continually. And that's what they really look at when they tell us what they need. So we also look at their school improvement plans. They have SMART goals in their school improvement plan. They have to tell us what they're going to be looking at for professional development. If they have after school funding, what that's going to look like, either with title or after school or signature grants. And then a family engagement plan. So that's all part of what they look at, and they have an opportunity to change the needs assessment. So you'll see on the draft when I send it to you that that's in color, so you can see what they changed, and then you can see what we changed too with the updated statistics and everything. We still have some common barriers in our schools. A high level of chronic absenteeism and truancy continues to be an issue for us. We continue to have high levels of mobility in our school districts, in our schools, in our school districts. So that means, a classroom might have 25% of the kids shift during the school year. Examples like that. Lack of transportation continues to be an issue, primarily because of the lack of bus drivers. So one thing that popped up this year, some of the buildings are reporting they're having to stay later as a result of that too. So they have fewer substitute bus drivers, fewer drivers in general. And so that was a need that they were expressing. And then continued to have communication strategies that they needed to make sure that were being addressed. So that was a common barrier. I am happy to report, this was really fun to go through all of the buildings. We have very few unfilled positions. So that's a really big kudos to our restructuring and the hard work of our HR team, making sure that they are really filled. We do have a few unqualified staff members, and they're noted, but like I said, it's so much less than we've had in the past, so many fewer. We struggle with optimal engagement for families, and we still have a lot of kids who need those tiered supports. So the CI3T is really definitely still a need. We also have a lot of students who demonstrate greater needs to poverty and trauma. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story from Boots on the Ground that relates to the need to continue to fund initiatives looking at trauma-informed care and what it looks like for some of our kiddos. So this always makes me nervous, but I had a kiddo, I filled in as a special ed consulting teacher at one of our middle schools this year. And I encountered two sixth grade boys in an altercation. So we got the boys separated. The behavior specialist took the general education student. I took the special education student. And this fella told me that the altercation was about a jacket he was wearing. And he was wearing his jacket because it was his siblings who had passed away due to some violence a few years ago. And then he experienced another loss that weekend before. So he was in a lot of pain. And he wore the jacket to remember his sibling. And so it was really interesting to hear him talk about this and to help me understand that his behavior was because of his trauma. He was really angry because he was in an incredible amount of pain. The longer we talked, he talked a lot about death. And so as a teacher, I have some knowledge, but I know that I need to make sure that I refer things like that to our mental health team. So our mental health social worker, I let her know that we needed to have some conversation. And so then she took this student and she was able to talk to him about what he was feeling and gave him a reference to a grief book and was going to get him a copy. And so it's a nice way to think about a really yucky situation. Having that mental health support is really important in our buildings. The other thing that's nice about this story is that the other fella, he was debriefing with our behavior specialist in the building. So that's another great resource to have. And the administration was super busy that day, dealing with a lot of other things. And they agreed to let us, the consequence for these fellas was that we did a restorative conversation with them. So these guys are good friends. And it turns out that the little boy whose jacket was being worn, his friend who had taken it had lived in his house when his dad went to jail. And so again, just that trauma and poverty that impacts our students' behaviors and the supports that we have. And it's a good thing that we have all the supports that we do. All right. So some changes this year that you're going to see on the needs assessment. I wanted to give you another positive. All classrooms utilize smartboards with instruction. And one of our principals said, pre-K through first grade got new iPads. This year, they've greatly improved functionality in creating 21st century learners. So another very positive thing that showed up. I did also note when there are teacher apprentices who are operating in the classrooms, you have an opportunity to see that on there. So I added that in purple too. There was a lot more focus on, now that we have the staff, looking at professional development. So what do we need to really do to make sure that they're getting what they need from our teaching and learning team and other supports for that. Just to note, our CAP scores have not been released for last year, so they are still last year's scores we didn't change that at all. Something else that we added this year for our Schools on Improvement is we have a halftime coach. So that person is going to go support all of those schools, those 8 schools, to give them just a little bit of extra support, and it's focused on school improvement. So that's a nice addition too. I also, based on some feedback that we got last year, I have a list for you of all of our employees, and you can see what their percentages are for their funding. So you can see someone is 16% at-risk funding, 84% general education funding. So that was an interest. We also have our dictionary of terms. So at our retreat last summer, that was something that was expressed. So all of the acronyms that we use in education, what the heck is an ASQ? So that's spelled out for you. So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier and user-friendly. All right. I do want to point out that we continue to use special education and English learners ratios to plan for everything that we do. So that's another way that we assess our needs. This year, I added a note that we also look at how many students we expect to get. And so that's how we decide how many staff members we're going to get in those classrooms. So I actually included those numbers in one of the tabs as well, because I thought that was another way to just really demonstrate that we've really been doing this a long time, even before it was a law, to make sure that we have the right number of staff where they need to be. Some actions that we do in our budget that support the needs, the mental and behavioral support that I just illustrated is very important. We continue to adjust our administrative support. There are a couple of buildings that got new structures or a second principal, so that's based on needs. And that's very important to recognize. Trauma-informed professional development, again, that illustration, and just we know that the kids are hurting right now, and so the more we can do for that, the better. Our increased literacy and math interventions, CI3T, after-school programming, summer programmings, which you'll hear about again soon. And then our ratios and general education intervention are some budgetary items. Highly qualified staff, we have our transition programs, our parent-to-teacher programs, our apprentices. We have 24 apprentices this year, so that's really exciting. And we have continued to have the Topeka Metro partnership to help us with transportation for some of our kiddos. We also do a lot of work with our site councils, our social media campaigns. We also have something to address our need for translation. We have a Propio service that I actually got to use a couple years ago. It was really easy to use. We actually had a staff member who needed a translation in Ukraine. And so we got someone really easily to participate in that call. And then, of course, we have our wonderful communications department that continues to help us with our family engagement, as well as all of our evenings that we host for parents and really try to get them involved in our programming. All right, so that is about all I have. Are there any questions that I can answer for you?
Dr. Bombrake.
I understand that this requires an awful lot of time for a lot of people working nights and weekends for another 2, 3 weeks.
For the needs assessment?
You got, yes.
Oh.
There needs to be an applause for this group of people.
Oh,
Matt
thank you.
Busey and Gary Mankey, Ms. Kramer, and there's others involved, but it's an awful lot of work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bombrake. Other comments or questions for Mrs. Kramer? Yes, Mr. Munoz.
Ms. Kramer, we talked just a little bit about the impounded funds. I wondered if you might speak, or somebody could speak to sort of the potential impact if that doesn't end up coming through, what impact might it have on students?
Sure. And I think I'm going to defer to Mr. Minky. He responded to that question at Finance Council, so I'll let him talk a little bit about what the plan is for that.
Everybody wants to know about impounded funds. I think the person in the world that's most worried about impounded funds is Billy Wallace. But what I shared with Finance Council is I think Billy has a pretty good plan for this year anyway, and she's requested from the Department of Ed some carryover, additional carryover dollars to be utilized this year for those programs, Title II, Title III, 4A and D, that we could utilize some carryover dollars to take care of those immediate needs for this year. But you know, and we've been talking about this for a while now, though. At some point, right, when those carryover dollars are expended, and then we start kind of eating into current year dollars, if you know, they at the federal level feel that they do not want to fund those programs anymore. At some point, we'll have to make the difficult decisions, right, to reduce those programs and reduce our footprint in those spaces, whether it's English language learners, it's the foster kids. We're going to have to reduce our footprint, and that means the amount of services we provide and the number of people that provide them, because there's not going to be enough state dollars to backfill those federal dollars when they go away, right? I mean, those federal dollars are above and beyond, right? They're to help us. We're not to use those dollars to supplement or supplant what the states do. We're supposed to do above and beyond. So it makes sense, right? They take those monies away. We can't continue doing above and beyond. That's the unfortunate facts about that. For me.
It does to somewhat, you know, for some of us who, you know, aren't in this already. You said Title II, III, 4A, and D. What are those programs?
Yeah,
Help us.
I've outlined it, and Billy, you're welcome to chime in. Go ahead.
So Title IIA is professional development dollars that we use to provide professional development to our staff in an ongoing way. Title III is EL services. And then Title IV is, it's a variety. We have dollars we can spend in certain categories. There's some technology and software. There's a percentage that we can spend for well-rounded. And then we've used some of those dollars to help pay for college tuition for some of our high school students, as well as things like the ACT and some of those pieces that are college and career ready.
There's a document, if you can pull that up, that shows that Mrs. Kramer, Mr. Minky, Dr. Gray and team looked at how can we get this on a one pager? I believe, is it on our main webpage, Dr. Gray? Okay. Can you send that to Mr. Reiner?
Yeah, that would be helpful because I do have, from time to time, individuals who are asking about that, and I'm not sure how to sort of communicate that effectively, so.
Well, see if we can quickly pull it up. It's very informative. And as a team came up with that, that was our way of being able to put something on the website Friday that says, here are all the places where those funds are located at. And as we get questions, what do we spend in those areas? It gives you a one pager to see that. So Dr. Gray will send it there. And then Dr. Gray, if you can send it to the board as well, that'd be great. Once you've sent it to Mr. Minor, if it can go to the board as well, so you all have a handout.
So to put some numbers on what Billy shared with you for the Title II-A, 3, for the PD was last year was, the award was around 676,000. Title III was around 136,900. Title IV-A, that support and enrichment technology was 312,000. And that 4B on the foster care and family supports was around 116,000. So kind of give you an idea of the 1.6 million that we were talking about in those areas. Those are kind of where the dollars are. And again, on the note, good news, right? The before and after school, 21st century, about 390,000, I believe last year award. And those were made whole for this year. And the Title I programs they went down, yeah. And poor Billy has to manage those down every year. She has down again, a couple 100,000 this year, I think, Billy. But still, those dollars have not been impacted by impounding. Neither have Dr. Lauer's 6B, Title 6B SPED IDEA money. That has been left alone to date as well. So
if, just to make sure I understand it right, we don't use this to fund completely positions or work. It just sort of helps supplement. So if they don't eventually come, we may see the impact of having to reduce some service, continue some, but not as much as we could have. Is that
Correct.
Okay.
Title dollars are intended to provide equity for our students who are on free and reduced lunch. So providing those resources to those buildings with a higher low SES.
All right, thank you both. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Tatum.
Just for clarification, Dr. Anderson, I think you said that document was located on the website.
It will be on Friday. And
It will
what
be.
We're sending it to you to take a look at on Friday as well, but you now have it this evening. We saw another district also had something very similar, a positive presentation of here's what we get and here's where we spend it. And so Dr. Gray's team made the graphic really based on what we're seeing in other districts as well. Ms. Kramer and the finance team really put a nice piece together rather than saying, here's what we think we're going to lose, just here's what we get. So we need our legislative advocacy group that we created 2 years ago to take that document. So those that are listening, we encourage them to take that document and advocate. And it really spells out what each of those areas provides. So we're hoping that arms them with something. It'll be on the main webpage. So Dr. Gray is planning to put it, I believe, Dr.
Okay.
Gray, am I saying it correct on the banner? So in the banner, when you open the first webpage, it has the banner that says like enroll now.
Mhm.
Well, it'll be changed out. Of course, this week was enrollment, so we didn't change it for this week because enrollment was yesterday.
Okay.
So Friday, when we're kind of past that other part of that threshold, we'll change it on out to learn how we use our title funds, our federal funds, and it'll be a click here and that document will come up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And I was just going to point out that the discrepancy, I went ahead and put the $510,000 for the 21st century grants because we're excited to announce that we have a new one at Meadows this year. So that's another $150,000 that we get this year.
Right. Dr. Beeson, did you?
I just wanted to confirm, so with title funds are for equity purposes, it's federal funding. A district like ours that serves a lower SES population and fills gaps for those populations, when those funds are at risk, we stand to lose more than a district who does not serve those populations to the same extent, correct? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for Ms. Kramer? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. That's all that we have for this
That's it.
evening.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We'll turn it back
And
over to you.
so I think we have an action item, and I didn't know, Dr. Anderson, if you wanted to provide some.
Some information about the fuses, sure.
Yeah,
Chief
yeah.
Cochran is coming up
Oh, yep.
to answer any questions you might have. Previously, we had conversation last board meeting about the fuses and how many, and if one, you as a board would like for us to proceed with that. And our recommendation would be to proceed with two cores, and but also the understanding that if we need a third to adequately cover the district, we would like to be able to do that as well. And we believe this would be a benefit to Topeka Public Schools. Chief, do you want to add any item to that? And then we'll turn it over to the board for any further discussion, but we ask for you to allow us to proceed with the technology related to fuses and utilize it in the manner that we deem might best benefit the district.
Board President, Board.
Press the button.
There. Board President, Board, and Superintendent, thanks for the opportunity to bring more information to you. I've reached out to Axon Fuchsia Center and gotten quotes, and we've gotten pretty good numbers. And what they want to do is they want to enter a 5-year contract. And by doing that, we get a really good price. And so for 2 cores, remember it was $7,300 a piece. So if we bought 2 cores, it'd be $14,600. And then every year we'd have a $2,300 reoccurring bill. And so into a 5-year agreement with them, it would be $17,764. But the yearly fee would be $2,300 instead of $4,600 because it would be 23 per core. So that's a pretty good deal. But I also got quotes for 3 cores. We have worked through about 15 of our schools, and looking at the projection, the number of cameras that we want to bring online, I don't think 2 cores would give us coverage, but we're going to have to go back and then scrub that list and take down because we're going to be over that. But 3 cores would give us, 540? And so we feel very comfortable that we would be within that. And so on a 3 core bid, it's 26.6, and that would come out to 53.29 a year. And so, that's still a pretty good price. And I also got a 4-year quote, and I can give that one to you if you want, but I don't think we'll need that. That'd be 35.5 and a yearly fee of $7,100. So those are kind of your options, and I can send those bids to Ms. Lister, and she can get them forwarded to you if you want to take a look at those. But that's kind of the additional information I have. And then we have visits set up for some more staff and a couple more board members on July 31st.
We'll turn it over to the board. So we're
Yeah.
recommending that we proceed in the manner we deem most appropriate within the parameters that were just described. We'd like for the board to have the discussion and give us direction.
Is there any further discussion on that? And if not, I'd take a motion for the action item. Dr. Beeson.
For action item 20.1, I move to approve the district's participation in the FUSIS program for the upcoming school year and allow the district leadership to enact the current best outcomes for the district.
And a second? Dr. Bonebrake. Any other discussion? If not, we'll look for a vote.
Vote by hand, please.
Okay, we're going to vote by hand. All in favor, raise your right hand.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
And any opposed? I hope not, because there's nobody left. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think that's it, and we'll move into comments. Dr. Bonebrake.
Well, Mrs. Kramer gave a great needs assessment. It was less than an hour and a half or 2 hours, which is what we did before. The health committee insurance, the claims and premiums continue to be a huge discrepancy. The payments are probably $6 million less than the premiums. And there's probably $2 million worth of pharmaceutical payback. So it's not that bad. I don't understand how Blue Cross Blue Shield can continue to lose $3-4 million a year just because they like us. It just, something doesn't fit. I have my suspicions, but I'm not at liberty to publicly say that. And the Wellness Committee, still we're trying to promote what the importance of an annual physical exam, and we're charging people that don't get an annual exam $50 a year. So they get a $50 break if they see their doc. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Bulbrake. Dr. Beeson.
Dr. Bonebreak, Covered Health Insurance Committee. It is $50 a month. I think you accidentally said a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So $600 a year. Let's see. Have not met with Equity Council since our last meeting, or over the summer. So, Ms. Schmidt, Mr. Tatum, and I have sort of quarterly meetings with Topeka Chamber President, and Julia Abdel has moved on to another position. So I was able to meet with Bob Ross, the interim. I think that was last week. Really impressed with his knowledge of public education and partnership with public schools. So I'm actually very excited to be working with him going forward. And I think there will be a good partnership there. I was able to attend negotiations in person last week for a little while, which was interesting for me to watch the process and seemed to be going well. And then I am on the list to visit the Fuses Center on the 31st, I believe. I think that's all I've got.
Thank you, Dr. Beeson. Mr. Tatum.
So I think that the only committee that I had was Finance Committee, and I think Dr. Bonebreak talked a bit about that. A lot of the work that we did in the Finance Committee was borne out in the information that Ms. Kramer shared with us on the needs assessment, but also Mr. Minky also shared some things when he came up to the podium impromptu just a little while ago. And I've been thinking a lot about the impact that the impounded funds, the federal cuts, how all of that is likely to impact our students and our professionals here at Topeka Public Schools. And I'm grateful that this handout was something that the district produced. This is a very good document for us as board members to share at a glance with people in the public who we run into. And it's a great tool that lends itself visually to being able to look through it and kind of glean information from it without having to do a whole lot of reading and pouring through the text in order to get a sense of what the critical areas are, because there's no mistaking it. And I think that as board members, I think we need to be on point for letting the public know if these dollars are cut, here's the impact that that's going to have on the programs that we support our students with here in Topeka Public Schools. We don't talk a lot about that because our primary operating mode is to hunker down, take these hits as they come, and bear the burden, because we know we're doing it for the right reasons to better our K through 12 students. But I think that it may behoove us at this point to think about how we engage the public in letting them know that no, these cuts are really having real world impacts on how we do business with the students and the teachers and the other professionals of USD 501. I'll also mention, Dr. Bisa talked about attending the teacher negotiations from a week or so ago. I went quite a bit all day on Friday and part of the day on Thursday. In fact, it probably felt like Dr. Beeson and I were switching out because when I was there, she wasn't, and when she wasn't there, I was. I would encourage all of us to go and sit in on at least part of the negotiations as they start up again on August 6th. If you're able to go, I absolutely encourage you to do it. I know it's important to the teachers when they see us make an appearance there. And it's also great information for us to be in the loop on as things are occurring. We're watching, we're not a part of the negotiations, but we're watching things transpire. We're learning a lot by being there. And it really does make the teachers particularly, and probably members of the 501 negotiations team feel pretty good that board members are there and really on site to lend moral support to the entire process. So with that, I think I'll pass it on.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum. Mr. Munoz?
Yeah, so we have policy meeting next week, I believe. Is that right, Ms. Whiteman? Okay, so next week we'll meet and we'll give a report after that. I did see our school assignments, school's coming up here. I'm going to have some changes for myself and where I'd like to go. Now I'll send it over to somebody here. Speaking of,
Mr. Munoz,
Yes,
can I
ma'am.
mention that? Those were your last year assignments.
Mhm.
My apologies for not mentioning that earlier.
No problem.
I asked Dr. Gray to place that in front of you so that if you have a desire to go to particular schools, can you email Dr. Gray as Mr. Munoz plans to do? And if you could do that by Friday, he's going to develop a plan to let you know where you might be going that next week. So if you have a strong desire, just let him know or just verbally tell him the day and he'll make sure to create a plan for that. Thank you for mentioning that, Mr. Munoz.
Sure,
Forgot
no-
about that.
No problem. All right, so, and negotiation, speaking of we're watching, it's really helpful to have that available online on YouTube to be able to see that. So I was not in person, but I was watching online those 2 days, and if I can make it on the 6th, I'll try and be there. So, and anyone else who's interested, that's an option that's available if you can't be there in person. And last thing is convocations I see here. It's coming up here soon. I look forward to it. It's very rare when you can have most everybody together in one space. USD 501 is a huge organization with individuals doing work all across the spectrum. And so to have everybody together is a very special experience. And so I'm looking forward to that. So that's all.
It's on the 6th at 1.
Yes, it's in the afternoon. Can you believe the expo wouldn't let us in the night before so we could all decorate? So for the first time, which people are excited that this time they get to start with their staff, get their shirts, practice their chants, and and travel over to the stadium. So they're going to end their day with the big academic pep rally. So I'm glad you asked that question.
Yep.
If you kind of peruse over that flyer, 1 o'clock at the Expo Center. Is that correct, Dr. Gray? All right.
Yeah. So that will be the Wednesday before our next board meeting. So I was going to mention that, Mr. Munoz, thanks for mentioning that, because we will not see each other again until after that. And I had finance with Mr. Tatum and Dr. Bonebrick that they covered. And then we will have technology committee. We moved the date of the technology committee, and I think it confused everybody. So, or at least me. So we'll have it on the last Wednesday of the month. So I will be able to report back on that next time. So I don't really have anything else to report.
I believe Dr. Kip wanted to give an enrollment number as of today.
Oh, yeah.
It was yesterday.
Unfortunately, the meeting's over, Dr. Kip. So no, just
He was just.
we would love to hear that, Dr. Kip. Thank you.
Okay, we have enrolled 11,400 students. The goal is 13,034. So at this point in time, we are way ahead of where we were last year at this time. We're about 1,000 kids ahead. So I have no doubt that we will, by the start of school, recoup that 1,500. So they're still rolling in as we speak. So.
Do you know why we're ahead at this point versus last year?
Yeah, a lot of the schools, it opened up, online registration opened up in April of last spring. And several of the principals got on their newsletters, started calling. There's kind of this lull in the summertime and with some classes filling up pretty quick, they really kind of got on the ball and got encouraged principal or parents to get on, complete it. It's really easy. It takes 5 minutes to do it and get them in there. So in fact, some of the Jardine, one of the largest campuses, said they literally could have had their enrollment in their office this year instead of the gym because there were so few people. They were 99% done before the enrollment day. So
great.
Really makes it more efficient.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Kip. Oh, Dr. Bonebrick, maybe.
This is an increase in a few hundred students for 501?
I'm projecting about a 30 to 40 student increase from last year. So, yeah.
Because I thought it was under 1,300 and more like 1,180 total.
No, maybe FTE wise, that FTE and head count are
a little bit different.
Yeah, FTE is always going to be a little bit lower because like preschool, we don't get a full FTE, it's a half. So
Okay.
things like that.
But you never know. We're 1,000 students ahead at this early than what we normally would be. You never know. It just may be that a whole lot of folks want to be part of 501.
Yep, they're coming.
Thank you, Dr. Kip. Okay, and so I just need a motion to adjourn. Dr. Beeson.
That's my job. I move the meeting adjourned.
That's good. You don't even have to read it.
I felt like
And then a second, Mr. Tatum, and then all in favor, raise your right hand. Great, thank you.